It's a Saturday morning, and Ken, I get in the truck, and I turn the heater on.
Yeah, yeah.
I still have my shorts on. I got my shorts, no jacket, and it's time I switch gears here, I think.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around 6 degrees or something this morning, somewhere around that range. It's a little chilly for this time of year. Well, I think it's probably normal for this time of year.
Oh, sure.
But it's great. You know what I'm noticing is the leaves are starting to change. I think they're not going to do like last year.
They're not
and they're
going
to pretend that they're living in Hawaii or something. And the trees are just saying, it's getting a little cool. All right, I'm out.
Yeah, that's right.
It's as quick
My
as
hostas are starting to turn gold here.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's 5 degrees by the lake in Kelowna. It's 6 in Victoria. Forecast is a high of 16 in Kelowna and 13 in Victoria. So there you go.
Yep.
It is time for the tips and plants of the week.
You betcha.
Well, my tip of the week is it's especially important when bringing in sensitive plants for the winter, i.e. tropicals. We're able to see if there are any hitchhiking pests. The best tool for determining this is a small hand lens. Most people, our age, my age, you start to get, so you need a little help to see these things. Eh?
Yeah.
And even when you're young, I've always carried a hand lens. I've always had one in my pocket. My dad always had one in his pocket. Good investment for any gardener, any person who is involved with plants to have a little hand lens. That's my tip of the week. My plant of the week is the coleus of all sorts. I just love coleus, and so do you, Ken.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Beautiful.
And I'm about now to take all my cuttings and do my thing and create my plants for next year. I didn't buy a plant this year. Well, I did buy the odd little plant here and there, but I rooted and grew most of my bedding plants this year.
Yep, it's fabulous. It's a good way to save money is learn how to propagate. All right, I also have a tip of the week this week, and my tip of the week is that it's time to start thinking about your soft fruit trees, and we're getting close to the time when you can apply copper onto those trees so that they can make it through the winter months. The copper really coats the tree from basically top to bottom, and it helps to prevent diseases from going rampant over the winter months when the tree really can't defend itself much. So, so think about that. Often 2 applications can be required, one just before the leaves drop and one just after the leaves drop. And that helps to protect those, especially the single stone fruits, soft fruits. That's the key, and generally very, very helpful. All right, now my plant of the week this week is the Epiphyllum Pink Empress, which is it's a pink empress orchid cactus, and a beautiful, beautiful plant. It's been outside all summer, bringing them inside now, and I'm noticing all the tiny little flower buds starting to form all over the plant. So it's a fabulous thing to experience, and watch for that coming up on YouTube. Just because, as soon as those things start popping, I'm going to have it blasted everywhere. It's one of the most beautiful flowers that you can get. All right, that's my tips and plans for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com and Grower Coach on YouTube.
Way to go, Ken. And be prepared, because in the next couple of weeks, my Montauk daisy is going to be in full bloom.
Oh, yes.
It's looking good. The buds are fat. They're showing color a little bit.
Oh, it's ready to go.
It's exciting,
Yeah, what a beauty. It's a very unusual plant. It seems to be semi-evergreen somehow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Mine came through the winter, and it was fine, and then it died suddenly. No apparent reason. But,
Montauk daisy disease.
Something. I don't know what it was, because I was so happy to see, it survived the winter, and it was doing good, and everything was fine. Then I went out there, and it was just crispy. So I don't know what happened.
Well, to fire things off this morning, we have our friend Ariel showing up here. Good morning, Ariel. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Up to my ears in gardening.
God,
perfect.
Speaking of blooming, my I think you pronounce it Echeveria ranioni. Yonii. Anyway, I brought it in, and no sooner did I bring it in, but it started to bloom.
Fascinating, some of these things, isn't it, Ken? Like your Christmas cactus and things like that.
Yep.
Let them get a little cool, and then bring them in. They think, it's spring, or something like that.
That. And my Christmas cactus is just like some of the ends of the leaves have got 3 buds on them.
Ooh, nice.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to tell you, you gentlemen, that I went down to Optimize Organics on Rifle Road there by Greenery.
Yes.
And I got some gypsum. I got some compost and castings. So I got a little one of gypsum, and I got the compost and castings, big ones, I think. Anyway, of course, it cost me quite a buck. And I thought I would do an experiment on this particular area where we were digging down with that Hemerocalus. And wow, it was like, I would say there was probably 8 inches thick of clay down there. So I wanted to let you know that I'm going to do that, and I'll let you know the results. And I'm supposed to take out all the soil and then put these little thingies in and let it go to work.
Right. Now, Ariel, did you get the 2 kilogram box of gypsum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can probably do better, once you finish your experiment here, and when you want to really do a number, like a bag of gypsum, the I think it's 20 kilogram bag, will cover about 1,000 square feet.
Well, where would you get that from if you're not getting it from these guys?
Well, I've seen it available. We used to sell it in those bags. Maybe Growers Supply. You might try them.
Well, how much? How much would it be?
How much would it cost for 20? I can't remember, but it's not terribly expensive.
You can phone ahead and ask them what they have. I know they have the big bags, which are, I think they're 40 kilograms. Yeah. So they're like almost 100 pounds. They're a little bit big, but they're pelletized is what you're looking for. Is the pelletized gypsum.
Well, this is the gypsum granules, and that was only $10.
Yep.
But it was the compost and worm castings that cost me $78.
Yeah. Yep. These things can be expensive, especially worm castings. They can be very, very expensive, but they are sure good. That's for sure. They're lovely.
Good product.
Yep. What else could we have used besides them? I mean, that's what he recommended. So,
well, I mean, you could probably get more mileage out of getting some Glen Grow or some Nature's Gold.
Yes. Well, he asked me what I was putting in, and I did say, the top 4 inches of the soil now is really kind of loamy and full because I've been doing Nature's Gold every single year for like 5 or 6 years now.
Right.
Nice. Should be good.
So,
there's that's the thing.
There wasn't a worm in sight when I first moved in here and started doing the gardening 7 years ago.
The gypsum just creates, turns the clay into little tiny clay balls. Helps do that. And that darn clay, the world famous Oregon clay. Isn't that interesting stuff, Ken? It's clay, but
red clay. Yeah.
It's red. Yeah,
it's reddish brown.
Yeah. Soil science is quite something, Ariel, and you're learning all about it. So.
Right. At my age, I'm learning something new every day.
There you go. Appreciate the call.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ariel. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. And Dominic is joining us. Good morning, Dominic.
I have to tell you that, Ken, you made my day today. 100% by your comments about the copper.
Oh.
I never hear that mentioned. You're good too, Don, but Ken updated you today.
I'm good too.
Hit the nail on the head.
I'm the old guy here. Come on.
No, you're mature. You're mature. But when the copper is such an important spray, and I don't think we emphasize that enough in the home gardener, the commercial guys, the more astute ones do it. Yeah. And it works so well. And even through the season on the tomatoes, if it's a little bit cooler, I would spray the copper on the tomatoes probably every 10, 12 days through the season.
Now, isn't it interesting? Dominic, isn't it interesting? I mean, you're not as old as I am for sure, but you are mature. And
thank you.
Here's the deal. Copper is something that we used 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago.
I know.
Didn't they call it Bordeaux at one point?
Oh, boy, now your mind sharper than me. I can't remember.
Yeah. Bordeaux is a mixture of copper and lime, like calcium.
Oh, okay. A Bordeaux mix, they used to call it.
Yeah, it's a mixture.
Yeah.
Extremely alkaline.
It's alkaline, eh?
With lime mixed with copper.
Oh, yeah.
And it's alkalinity.
So
I
what
think
would be the purpose of that, Ken?
It's to kill off the organisms.
Yeah.
But it also, the stickiness of the lime as well makes it kind of pasty.
Okay.
That would make sense, yeah.
But I think it's ultimately alkalinity, so things like fungus diseases, even bacterial diseases, not so much viruses, but bacteria are greatly affected by it. They just don't like these extreme, either acidity or extreme alkalinity. So,
There you go.
Fun.
Well, I just think we have to emphasize it more because we talk about, pesticides and stuff. That's one way to eliminate some pests or pesticides using by doing the right application of the copper. So that you made my day, Ken. I applaud you.
There you go.
Well, I'll see if I can make your day too. Just keep listening, Dominic.
Okay, I'll try.
He's going to try to come up with something good.
Okay, have a good one. Bye.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
Love
Tom.
you.
Take
Okay,
care.
bye.
Bye-bye.
And at that note, we are at the quarter hour here. We're going to take a short break. We invite your calls, 250-862-2525 to get through to us. 1-888-780-4273 is our number if you're from out of town, in the Victoria listening area, or anywhere online. We'll be back with The Garden Show after this short break. Here we are back with you after a very short break, and that was we said it was going to be a short break, and it was a short break.
Yeah.
Ken and I were in a deep conversation regarding all sorts of things, as we do every Saturday morning. We get to see each other after a whole week of not seeing each other, and all of a sudden now we got to catch up. We've got Addie joining us. Good morning, Addie.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Excellent,
Good,
thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
I am getting ready for the winter. Fall has come just in time. I think I was ready to start disliking some of my plants. But anyway, my asters aren't seeming to want to bloom too much. And when they bloom, they kind of just turn brown.
That's
The little purple ones, the tiny little purple ones.
It's interesting. I wonder if they got some thrip or something in there.
Yeah, hard to say, or maybe some sort of disease. Is there any way you could take a picture of that and like a close-up and maybe send me a picture?
Okay, sure. My other question is my Christmas cactus was outside all, all summer, and now I brought it in about a week ago. But now all my leaves have gold edgings on them. Have I left them in the sun at some point?
No, the gold edge could be just some sort of a nutrient thing. They're going to adapt to the new climate indoors, and they should be okay. So it's just yellow around the perimeter then, like.
Yeah, just around the perimeters. It's like they've grown an edging, where they're gorgeous. But I'm just wondering, I thought maybe I had, because I didn't put them in the sun at all. They were always in the shade, or, they got sun in the first thing in the morning, but then it was shade all afternoon. So should I be giving them some type of fertilizer, like 20-20-20, or?
First, Addie, did this happen when they were outside, or did it happen after they came in?
No, it started happening during the summer. And it's just, I did send you a picture, Ken, but I guess you...
Yeah, he's got it.
I got it here.
That's quite something.
I was just thinking about that because I forgot to get back to you on that one.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I know you're busy, but anyway, I was just afraid that that I had damaged it in some way, and I was wondering if I could repair it.
I'm pretty sure it's abiotic. I don't think it's a disease of any kind. I think it's like Ken said, a nutrient thing, or I mean, try give it a shot at 20-20, see if it doesn't help smarten it up. But if it's a disease,
like I say, you can tell by the picture that it's quite pretty. It's quite different looking. So
maybe you got a new
really
plant
concerned.
here.
I just wanted to know that I didn't damage it in some way. My other question was that other picture that I sent you, Ken, the one with the plant.
Yes.
That's got the purple leaves underneath, and then it's got the green. Can I keep it in the house and then just take slips and propagate it for next year?
Oh yeah,
it's a lovely houseplant.
Yep, they're very easy to grow indoors. Yep, just similar to other plants. You water them well, and then you let them dry between waterings, and they're quite happy. Yep.
In normal sun, no extra sunlight or anything like that.
In the wintertime here, it doesn't really matter that much. They need some light, so they seem to do better if they have reasonably good light. So.
Good light. Okay, so the Christmas cactus, should I leave it in total bright light now?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just now it's indoors, and it's going to get this more consistent temperature, and the night temperature now is going to be coming up because it's been quite cool, and so that's what sort of triggers them to start setting buds. Now you've got them indoors, and your night temperature is up a little bit, and so that sort of rising, so cool nights followed by rising night temperatures is really what triggers them to bloom. So you'll probably get a really nice flush here within probably about 3 to 4 weeks. It should be good to go.
Is this the only plant that's doing this, Addie, or are other Christmas cactus doing the same thing?
No, it's the only, mind you, that's the only plant that I have right now.
Nothing
it
to compare
actually
it to.
fell over. It fell over in the summer in one of the windy days that we had, and a branch broke off. I took that branch off and I planted 6 little pots, and they are doing fabulous.
Are they yellow?
No, they're not.
Interesting.
No, they're not. But I didn't. They probably got planted sometime at the end of July. But they're just shooting up new leaves. Like it seems like every week I get some new leaves.
I'm excited for you, Addie.
Yeah, I am too. But
Okay, girl.
Whether they're going to turn yellow or not, but I didn't put the Christmas cactus in the sun, so I guess I'm going to put it in one of my sunniest windows.
There you go.
Sure, they love it.
Super, thanks, guys.
Nice talking to you, Addie. Take care.
Okay.
Yep,
You
thanks
too.
for calling.
Have a good week.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.
And we now have Ken from Victoria. Ken, welcome to the show.
Okay, good morning, Ken and Don. My question concerns a wealth of pine needles I have in the area. And I was wondering if indeed that there's a good place to put them, such as around hydrangea or rhodos and the like, other plants, even a couple of fig.
There's two schools of thought on pine needles. You know, back in the day, it was always, pine needles don't break down. They make pine straw and whatnot, and but Ernestine Lamoureux, a really, really clever local gardener here that's now passed away years ago. But Ernestine was one of my go-to people for just good old home style gardening, and
like you are for people like myself,
I suppose. Yeah. Well, anyway, she was a really nice person and really bright. She said, Don, she had one of these little chopper machines where she would chop her needles up, and she would put them in the compost, and it would be a great work that way. But pine needles are fine. I mean, they're not going to hurt anything in the garden by any means. And people often say, well, they're so acidic and all that. Well, I don't know how much acidic they have, but they're organic and they have stuff to offer to the garden. I don't think there's any problem.
No, the more broken down they are, the more beneficial they are to the soils.
Yeah.
And so that's sometimes what people will say is that, you can sort of spread them out a bit and run your lawnmower over them a bit to kind of break them up into smaller pieces.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, and then that speeds the composting process. Sort of the fresher they are, they might rob a little bit of nitrogen from the surrounding soil.
I use them for ground cover to keep weeds down in an area which formerly had weeds, berries and so on. I want to cut that area. It seems to work well over there.
Yeah, so
what about in an area where you're going to grow tomatoes?
Well, again, it's got to be well broken down.
Okay, well broken down.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
this is the thing, is where you want to suppress the weeds is don't break them down. Leave them whole.
Or if in doubt, leave them out.
Yeah, but they will definitely, when they're really big and sort of full-size, not composted, they're going to suppress weeds better. But the more composted they are, the more they promote growth of plants.
Yes, yeah,
So,
I've used the recently blown down ones. Yeah, I have lots of them.
Yeah.
I always think of the Masters golf tournament in Georgia, and they always talk about, well, he's in the pine straw. He's just knocked it into the pine straw. And what about pine straw? Well, pine straw is basically just
that's
pine
an
needles.
extreme rough, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Anyway, that was a good shot, Don.
Yeah, that's right. That's probably one of my
Thank
best.
you, gentlemen. Keep up the good work.
Well, take care, Ken. We appreciate your call and your contribution to the show.
And we appreciate you. Back to you.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's fascinating, what you can do to hold weeds back. And that seems to be very effective, isn't it?
Yeah, and raw wood chips is really the thing. If you want to suppress plants and keep them from growing, just put fresh wood chips on them. Yeah. There's nothing suppresses plant growth like that. Yeah. But after a year or so of wood chips sitting, then that effect really diminishes. And they really start
rotting down.
Yeah, once they start to break down a bit, then they actually become more composted, and that's when they become actually beneficial. So, yeah, it's a trick. I know from years of doing all kinds of experiments in nurseries, and one that we used to try years ago was using wood chips on the surface of the pots, to suppress the weeds. And sure enough, it suppressed the weeds, but it also suppressed the plant in the pot. And so, so then that was a real eye opener to see the difference. That you couldn't even fertilize enough to counteract that. And so we did tests with, I don't know, maybe 70,000 plants, and ended up with a real good reason why not to do that, and use other types of inert materials that are not going to be consuming the nitrogen as quickly as, say, wood chips, for example. Yeah.
Years ago, when we first moved into our home on Rhonda Crescent, every house in the neighborhood had a blue spruce, Picea pungens.
Yeah.
And every house had a shake roof.
Right.
That was the criteria for that
was
whole
before
neighborhood.
The fires.
They needed a shake roof and a blue spruce, big blue spruce.
That was the standard.
And, of course, the blue spruces were put in areas, most of the homes were in areas, like ours was 2 feet from the property line.
Yeah.
It was a little blue spruce planted, maybe 4 feet from the property line.
But
way too close to the property.
Yeah, when they're 30 feet in diameter.
Yeah. It was just going over into the neighbor's parking area there, driveway, and he was scraping his motorhome on it, and it was just not good.
Yeah.
So we had it taken out, and we had the roof. We were the last two people in the neighborhood to have our roof changed too. But anyway, that's all done. There's only about, and there's dozens and dozens and dozens of homes in our neighborhood. There might be 2 blue spruce left. But the blue spruce that we had, it went out. And we had a chopper come in, a wood grinder, right, to take the root out. For years, that area of the lawn was pale. I couldn't get it to grow. Yep. It was because of the rotting wood chips. And then after a while, the mushrooms start coming, which I love mushrooms, so don't get me wrong there. But it's fascinating what it takes to break these things down. We're going to have to take a break. We've got a couple of callers here waiting to get on, but we're going to take a break first, and then we'll have a full 15 minutes, or what's left of the 15 minutes, to talk to our callers that are phoning in. We appreciate those calls, and we will be back with The Garden Show after this short break. Well, we're back with you, and we have Jack joining us. Good morning, Jack.
Morning, guys. Question about calla lilies. I know in the spring tulips and daffodils, you don't want to dig them out too soon before all the nutrients go into the flower or into the bulbs. How soon can I pull out the calla lilies and just let them lie there and dry out and then put them away?
Are you talking calla or canna?
Calla are the big tall ones, right?
Yeah, big fat leaves like a banana.
Yeah. And then there's the calla, which are the smaller ones.
Yeah, the little guys.
Actually, when can you start dragging them out?
Well, I've got mine in pots all winter, so I just leave them, because I grow them in the greenhouse. But I know that you can. There is a bulbous corm kind of a thing, not a corm, but what is it, tuberous root or something?
Yeah.
It's like
I've done it for 10 years, but I just usually wait until the end of October. But I'm anxious to get rid of them.
Well, I don't think there's any rocket science with it, but Jack, I think you can yank them out now and dry them out and
dry them out.
Yeah, you bet.
And I have some to give away later on if somebody wants calla lilies. I've got them.
What color?
There's yellow and white.
Nice.
And they're very beautiful. It's just that I'm getting to the age now where to put them in the spring and take them out in the fall is becoming a little bit more of a chore than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, give me a shout.
Oh, well, if you're asking, yes. And you haven't made your inspection here this year either. So
that's right. Okay,
So,
Jack.
Anyway, thanks. I'm going to start digging them out then and preparing the ground for next year.
Sounds
and
great.
the last thing, Rose of Sharon.
Yep.
It's a bit unwieldy. It's a bit, no, it's not unsightly. It doesn't bloom that well. Can I cut it back now, or have to wait till the spring or later on in the fall?
Yeah, you might want to just wait until spring on that one, but you can always give it a light trim just to make it look tidy.
Yeah,
Just tidy it up a bit, and then in the spring reassess it and maybe hit a little harder.
All right, then.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the program.
Thanks, Jack.
Just one more thing. I want to shout out that I go to that garden market and miss the first 15 minutes of your show usually, which is too bad. But look, that market down there near the Orchard Park.
Yes.
I don't know if people go there or not, but it is spectacular.
That's a great
got
spot.
For sale, vegetables, fruits, pastries. I mean, it's a fantastic place.
It
to
is,
visit.
and they're going to move next year. They're going over to the center there. Where the I can't remember what it's Dayton, I guess it is, down in behind where they have the big angel or whatever at Christmas time, the big Christmas tree.
Okay.
That area, that's where it's going to be next year.
Okay, well,
yeah.
As long as they exist, it's a
they
great,
will. Yeah.
They do a wonderful job.
They
Okay, Jack.
do,
Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we have Dan Bruce joining us. Good morning, Dan. How are you this morning?
Well, things are nicely damp outside.
We're liking that, yep.
We are indeed. The dogs tracked mud into the house the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fascinating, almost new experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was strange having actual rainfall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
So there's kind of an interesting vegetable out there. It's becoming more and more popular and more available. And some people call it arugula.
Yeah.
I don't like that name. It sounds like some awful disease.
No, it does. It sounds like something, a fungus in your toes or something.
Otherwise known as rocket. And it's interesting. It started out as a weed in the sort of Mediterranean area, the Levant. And it was discovered that it was actually a good addition to salad and so forth. And it's grown and consumed all the time throughout the Mediterranean area. And then it spread into Northern Europe. The myth that went with it was that it promoted lust.
Oh, my goodness.
And so the medieval Roman Church got into the act and they banned it.
Oh.
They forbade the monks.
Don't want to be promoting lust anywhere, that's for sure.
They forbade the monks to grow it in the monastery herb gardens. And so it kind of faded out in Northern Europe. But it's now making a comeback. I guess lust is it's okay now.
It's okay now, yeah.
Yeah, right. Mind you, I've eaten quite a bit of rocket lately, and I haven't noticed anything.
I haven't noticed a thing. Little twitch here and there. No.
So
anyway,
here you have something that started out as a weed in standing grain fields.
Right.
And then things became turned around so that the weed itself became a crop.
So you'd rather call it rocket than arugula?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, arugula. I like the name arugula.
The thing about that is it's
cool.
easy
Rolls off the
to
tongue.
grow.
Yeah.
You can sow seed every couple of weeks, and up it comes. You cut
what do you use it in culinary practice? What do you use arugula in?
Well, I use rocket.
You use rocket. Okay, I'm sorry.
To make.
Yeah.
I use it in salads. You can chop it finely and add it into various pasta dishes. But chiefly, it's a salad thing.
Yeah.
So what I've done with it in the past
taste.
is mixed up my own salad dressing. Use rocket as the base greens. Very, very thinly sliced white onion, and very, very thinly sliced navel orange.
Ah, that's starting to sound good.
Mix all the three things together. Don't add a whole bunch of stuff and make it all a muddle. Yeah. Just the three things and the salad dressing, and bring it to the table, and there probably won't be any left.
Well, you know, you do well with your culinary practices, Dan. I've dined with you at your home, and it's amazing what you come up with. All sorts. You never know where you're going to go when you go to Dan's for dinner. You could be in Africa, you could be in India, you could be somewhere, South America, Mexico, anywhere.
But
it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
My culinary expertise is fairly minimal, and my brother,
it's like Burger King.
I'm getting a little bit better now. A little bit better. Skip the dishes helps, but. My brother was a good. He made. What do you call that with eggs?
Omelet.
Omelet. Thank you very much. My mind is not good today. Omelet. So I thought, well, if Al, my brother, can make an omelet, I came home and I just said, well, I'm going to make an omelet too. I just saw him cooking away on the stove. My omelet. When you mentioned mud, my omelet. That's what reminded me of my omelet is mud. It I put so much stuff in there that you couldn't taste any of it, and that's the first. I think one of the first lessons in cooking is
keep it simple.
Keep it simple, because you got to be able to taste the stuff. This was a menagerie of tastes coming out of that omelet, and it tasted like mud.
They all canceled each other out.
Everything was
right. Well, I picked up an amazing cookbook not that long ago in Kelowna. It was a good introduction to Italian cuisine. And an Italian lady produced it, Lorenza de Medici, and with a name like that, how can you fail?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Of course.
The thing about Lorenza, when you've read what she's written, you go into the kitchen, you know what you're going to do. Mm-hmm. There are some cookbook, having read them, you go into the kitchen, you're still clueless.
Yeah. Well, no, just one
simple things. Not too many ingredients, and it works.
I want to just ask you a personal question here. I know you grew up in Jamaica, but you were born in England, right? Jolly old.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So your background is in England.
Right.
What do you think of British culinary practices?
I think British food is one of the best there is.
Okay, there you go.
But there's a huge but. Mm-hmm. You need a large kitchen and equipment that most people don't have.
Okay.
In order to achieve the result.
I see.
Yes, there is potential there, but it's not undertaken lightly.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that, you hear about French cuisine and you hear about Mexican cuisine, you hear about Italian cuisine, Chinese, Japanese, but you don't think of British cuisine. You think of meat, potatoes, and what do you got? There's a pea thing that they do is creamy peas or something.
Mushy peas.
Mushy peas, honestly.
Yeah,
well, I'm just being opinionated here.
You can leave the mushy peas wherever you find them. It's not something that I would recommend.
And they're cold. Like warm mushy peas mightn't be too bad.
Salad, Don. It's a salad.
No, you need, if you ever go to England, go to Hampton Court.
Okay.
The historic kitchens are open for visiting. And that gives you some sense of what it was like.
Mm-hmm. In King Henry VIII's day. But I'll tell you, here's the deal. Hampton Court, the kitchens, there's this huge oven, right? And there's a rotating, what do you call it, a rotisserie?
Yes,
right?
Spit.
And it was driven by a big fan that was up in the chimney that when the heat rose, the fan turned and geared down right into the thing that turned this rotisserie. I was amazed at that technology, and that's out of the 1500s. Dan, we're going to have to...
There was another technology, too. It referred to what was called the turnspit, which is a little dog.
A dog?
A little dog that was put into a thing like a hamster wheel, and the dog ran and turned the wheel, and the spit turned.
My goodness. Dan, we're going to have to run. We got to take a break here, but always nice to talk to you. Okay.
We will do it again.
You betcha. Take care,
thanks,
Dan.
Dan.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And on that note, British culinary food. We'll see if we can get all the Brits giving us heck now.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break. It's going to clear off tonight, hopefully, because, Ken, I just acquired a 4-inch telescope, like a 4-inch mirror telescope. And my understanding is with a telescope that size, you can see the rings of Saturn and all this. But like Craig McCaw said to me, he says the moment somebody gets a piece of equipment in the way of telescopes or whatever, it clouds over for about a week and a half, and that's exactly what's happened here. So I've got, we're hoping, you know. Anyway, we've got Monique joining us, and we appreciate that, Monique. Good morning.
Well, we appreciate you, and it's Murphy's Law, right?
Yeah.
I always say if I ever meet that Murphy.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering about is if you have any helpful tips and tricks for overwintering some tropicals like hibiscus or mandevilla, elephant ears. Before, I'll give you my backstory, what I'm working with. Our garden shed needed the roof replaced a few years ago, so I asked them to put corrugated plastic on top, which makes it quite warm. It's like a semi-greenhouse. Last winter, I was able to overwinter things like bacopa, geraniums, and stuff. I think I pulled my cannas out too early, so my cannas didn't come back. But, yeah, in the winter, I put on a bit of heat, like from December to February, like half an hour a day on a timer. But is there, maybe you can help me out?
Well, the key thing, of course, is light, as much light as possible, and sometimes that natural light isn't enough, so you may want to try and incorporate some artificial light in there. And the other thing,
an LED root farm, but they're also selling these little like grow lights at the dollar store. They're $4 and they're pink. I don't know if I could put that in there in a timer.
You can use those. I'm not sure how much value there would be in those, but you know, there's a lot of technology involved in grow lights and whatnot. And the dollar store, I'm not belittling the dollar store by any means, but I mean, we know that.
I wondered.
You know,
I don't think they're that great either. I thought it was a novelty.
I think, you want to take it up a notch. But look at the key thing, of course, is to keep them from freezing. And some tropicals don't even want to get down below 10 degrees. So you want to keep that in mind.
So in other words, you have to find the varieties that you have, and then you have to find out where they're native to, like where it's their natural weather conditions or winter temperatures, and track that, write it down, and follow that. Because a lot of tropicals will handle like down to 5 degrees Celsius, for example, once or twice from time to time for short periods of time, and they'll come through that okay. But other ones, not so much. They get chilled like that, and they're done. You know,
they quit. Yeah,
but
that's I'm out of here.
Yeah, well, a plant like say a hibiscus, Rosa sinensis, the tropical hibiscus, it's more of a woody plant. So there's some possibility they become deciduous, they lose their leaves, they slow down. But you're often, even with that plant, you're better off just to bring them into the house. But other plants that have root storage, like a canna lily or some of these things, they're not so much a woody plant, more herbaceous. Those plants, really, you can just store them, and as long as they're kept above freezing, generally they're going to be good right through the winter, so you don't need a special facility. So what I would do is just because I love the fact that you've got a place that you can grow some stuff, and I would just start to maybe explore a little bit to see how you can put that space to use in its best way, and also other plants that would be borderline, like sometimes jasmines can be borderline.
Mandevillas?
Yeah, plants that are like zone 9. You know, those plants are ideal in those conditions, and they just thrive.
I have a little plastic greenhouse, too, and I was thinking maybe setting that up in the garden shed.
Are you from the Victoria area?
Yes, Senate.
Okay, well, you're lucky because that kind of operation does not work in the Okanagan.
Yes.
But in Victoria, where you don't get 30 below or even 20 below, you can make do with some of this. But the key thing with both those structures, plug the holes, make sure all the holes are plugged, make sure that you have insulative. If there's any kind of plywood walls or anything like that, make sure you put insulation on those to add that factor. You could even put some another layer of poly on the inside if they're wooden.
I do have poly, like the white poly.
Yeah, you can put that on the inside, so you got a double layer there. You got an air
white is
space.
Not going to be conducive to light, though.
You want to have
poly.
clear poly, not the white poly.
Okay.
You want to have clear poly. You can get it at the hardware store, and you don't have to get the UV inhibited stuff if you're going to use that as a temporary inner lining to your greenhouse.
Yes.
Yeah. The white poly, it's 70% sun screening, so then it only allows 30% of the light through. And so in areas where you have, like in Canada, we need every bit of winter light we can get, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a last tip is keep the air moving. Air movement within these structures is critical to prevent the plants from developing fungus diseases and that sort of thing.
There is a fan set up.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be high-speed fans, but just a delicate movement of air on a constant basis.
On a constant basis, okay.
There.
Well, thank you so much, you guys.
You're very welcome, and we appreciate your call.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful day. Well, and the moon was so beautiful. I hope you get a chance to look at it through your telescope.
I'm excited about it. I've got a real we're thinking of going up to a little fishing lake too, and so you don't have the light pollution up there in the mountains. And we're thinking of taking that telescope up there and seeing what we can do there. Anyway.
Well, I hope the clouds cooperate. You
take care.
Dear. Tell them to get lost. Have a great day. Thank you.
Well, thanks for calling.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
It's very complicated because we've been hoping for cloud and rain for all through this fire season and through the summer. We've been wanting some rain. And now I've got this telescope. I'm going, go away.
Yeah, well, that's not much you can do, and it is a good thing we're getting some rain. They may even lift I think they're thinking of lifting the campfire bans in some areas, which is that's a sign. Yeah. I don't think we're getting much water down into the earth. That's going to take a long time. That'll take the whole winter, I'm sure. So let's just hope we do get some precipitation through the winter, especially here I guess everywhere, because even in coastal regions, their water supplies are down. So got to build them up again.
You betcha. First frost in 1950 in Elaine Cameron's garden was tomorrow, October 1st. But I've looked at the weather forecast in our area, and no frost is in the forecast for the next couple of weeks. So
I heard 3 degrees tomorrow morning. I read at daybreak 3 degrees, +3. It's going to be chilly.
Well, I hope we're looking at the same thing because
that's probably for us out in the real world, Don.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. In Kelowna, it says Kelowna, and it's talking of over the next little while. It gets down to 6.
Oh, there you go.
6 is what it's getting down to.
Oh, that's good.
On my
I got 4 degrees on the Canada one.
Well, this is Canada. We better get our things organized.
Out,
Maybe I'm listening to the wrong Canada.
Yeah, how many Canadas are there out there?
It's amazing. But I'm watching the weather like a hawk, Ken, because I've got most of my tropicals and everything in the greenhouse now. I'm very, very pleased with the way I've got things together this year. I've been giving away plants like you wouldn't believe. As a matter of fact, and people can give me a call if they've got room for it, but I got one of them big onset ventricosum Moriali, the red Abyssinian Ethiopian banana. The big
the big red leaf banana.
It's not really a musa; it's a different genus, but it looks like a banana.
Yep.
And I've given one away already, and I got another. Remember last year I kept them inside in the house.
Yeah,
they're just too big.
Yeah,
they're too big to keep in the house, and I hate to see it going away, but I like to see them have it. We had a lemon tree that we had available. It was given to me this spring, and really big thing. It's got a 3-inch trunk on it, and it was in a big pot, and I got it back to life and fed it with triple 20.
Yeah,
and
it looked fabulous.
It was fabulous.
Yeah, really nice.
Anyway, I put it on Facebook that we had this available, and it was a big tree that you got to have some space for it and lots of light. I was thinking of a car dealership or something like that. ended up, a young gal came by. She was just ecstatic to take that thing home, and
Nice.
she's got it home and she's got a big window that she's putting in front of.
Perfect.
Hopefully it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do, is eliminate having to look after things over the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the first portion of the show. We got a whole hour after this, after the news, and we appreciate your calls. 250-862-2525 locally here, and 1-888-780-4273 if you're from Victoria, listening area, or anywhere online. And this is the time of year that we are getting ready for winter, and in the Okanagan, it's a little different story than getting ready for winter in Victoria. So we can compare notes, and it's kind of fun to have the two types of gardening happening on the air, and we appreciate that. Now, Gurinder, the young man that answers the phones here for you in most of our weeks, he has just informed me that he's got some fall bulbs, and he's going to throw them in the ground. Now, I want to find out, Gurinder, exactly how you're going to do this. Usually you dig a hole and you nicely place them in there, and you don't kind of throw them in the ground?
It's going to be fairly haphazardly. I'm just going to have a little open pit, throw them in, and then cover them with some soil.
That'll work. I mean, we all worry about the bulbs when we plant our bulbs with the points up and all that stuff. And in the commercial guys, it's just coming out of the back of the machine.
They tumble down.
They tumble down into a thing, and whether they
land
land upside down or sideways or whatever, they still grow.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take Ken's advice. I think that's what he said a couple weeks back. He just creates an open pit, tosses them in, and covers them up.
Yeah. I did a little video on that just after that. I think it was almost immediately after that show. That was one of my tips. And then we went home. We went and got some bulbs and did that. And It was fabulous. It was great.
Well, we try and be particular about how we plant these things. It's like pruning roses. You and I both do lots of have done over the years lots of pruning seminars on roses and whatnot. And you always got down to the first set of 5 good leaves and all this technical stuff. Well, after doing one of my first rose pruning sessions way back in the 70s. Or the early 80s, when Mediland roses first came out, the landscape roses from France, Mediland. And I looked up, or there was a pamphlet on Mediland roses that came in, and I opened it up, and here they are pruning the Mediland roses. They got one of those sickles, going through the fields.
Wasn't it like a hammer mill or something?
Well, it's like a huge Black & Decker hedge trimmer, And
exactly, yeah. But
you think
those are small twiggy roses. It's not like a hybrid tea rose.
I know.
But still, yeah.
But after all the meticulous,
but even with that
surgical,
I spent a lot of time breaking it down into the exact perfect way to do roses, and now I just cut them straight across at 12 inches high in the springtime, and I don't really pay too much attention to the exact location. I just don't like cutting right through a bud. I like to cut at least between buds.
Yeah.
But the main thing is they're going to shoot up some nice shoots, and they bloom on new growth, so generally you're fine.
Yep.
Not too difficult. The key is, I think, is not cutting them too hard in the fall, which a lot of people, I think in coastal regions, maybe it could be okay, but I think in, the theory that I follow is this theory of nature, which is where plants work so hard to seal themselves up for winter. And they're shutting everything down, and they're building all these specialized scales to protect all the buds, and even the skin on the outer part of the stems gets tougher, and everything is designed to prevent the plant from desiccating over winter. And then we come along and chop it all off.
Yeah. Exactly.
The plant, and then you've got all these exposed wounds going into winter, which over the winter is when a lot of these fungus diseases take over. So you've got open wounds going into the fall. And, it's just, you can do whatever you want. There's just, there's different techniques. I'm just saying, I think that nature knows how to do this. It does it forever. It's developed a system, and we want to try not to disturb it as much as possible. So with roses specifically, a little light pruning to make them look tidy. In most climates like here, I mean, a lot of times the roses will bloom right until Christmas. So why not just let them go and do their thing? They know what to do. You don't have to tell them.
Mine are still in great shape.
Yeah, and then the smaller the twigs you trim, the better. The bigger the stems you trim, the more you're going to crack them, break them, open them up to diseases. So I prefer to let that all go through the winter just as is, and in the springtime, then go and do your official pruning. But number one, always know your rose.
Yeah.
Because some roses only bloom on old wood. Yeah. And if you're cutting them, you're not going to get any bloom. So you have to know that.
Yeah. And there is something to be said about the chemistry, too, of a sort of an antifreeze happening in the rose and keeping some of that wood there. I mean, learning this when I took my arborist certification, we learned about that. And I can't really pinpoint it right now. I learned an awful lot that I have no idea what I learned. But anyway, it's something about the fact that if you leave that wood is part and parcel of getting that plant through the winter. So pruning them hard in the fall, especially in the colder areas like the Okanagan, and especially when you get onto the prairies, it's wise to leave that wood there because it's a protector.
And they store a lot of the carbohydrates and chlorophyll is stored in the stems.
Right.
And it's one of their strategies to get through the winter is to pack those stems filled with sugars and chlorophyll as well to be ready to go in the spring and to get through the winter months. And so when you cut it all off, well, you're cutting off the source of food storage and chlorophyll storage for the next year. So everybody has their own way of doing things. And, if it's not broke, don't fix it, as some people say. But, there's always time to learn and try new things.
Well, we still have a few Carmen cucumbers coming onto the vines, even though it's cool and the cool nights. They're a warm plant, a plant that needs warmth, right? But we still have them coming on. They're not growing like they were. I bet you saw how big some of these got. Some of these Carmen cucumbers, and we would put them out on our curb, and people were snapping them up. And that happened too with my tropical plants, all my little babies. So my little, I had some kalanchoe and some stuff that I had rooted. And I just don't have room in the greenhouse on the bench. And besides, what I'm doing now is I'm rooting my coleus and my petunias and things that I enjoy through the summer. And it really is good value. One way of helping with the heating bill is to grow those annuals because, everybody knows that when you walk into a garden center or a plant shop in the spring and walk out with a flat of annuals, it's sometimes up into the $30 or $40 range for a flat of
or $100.
It could be even more than that, but I'm just saying it's up there.
Oh, yeah.
And so it only takes a few flats to help pay the heating bill in the greenhouse.
Yep, you betcha.
You betcha. Now, we have joining us, we've got Sharon, and we appreciate your call, Sharon.
Yes, good morning. I was just wondering, is it too late to plant grass?
It's not really too late. Where are you located?
In West Kelowna.
In West Kelowna. You can. You should still get some germination. It's all a temperature game right now. We've got the right amount of humidity and we got the right amount of moisture, and so that should be good. But what we're lacking is heat, and so when it's hot, this grass seeds will germinate really quickly. When it's cool, the grass seed likes it because it's just kind of a long, slow process of germination. It doesn't go very quick. So that's what you're up against is if you did it today, chances are you would have some grass up by the end of October. And, it'd probably still be young, but at least it's a starting point. And then next year you could always add some extra seed over it in the spring.
Well, it's more or less patching where I dug out a bunch of crabgrass.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. It definitely helps to keep some fresh grass seed in there, for sure.
Well, one of the stories that I have from my long 73-year life is back near Kelowna Golf and Country Club. Her name was Mrs. Bannister, and we scratched the grass seed into the snow. It was like there was a skiff of snow on our field, and we sowed it right into that snow. And so in the spring, the interesting thing was that under the trees where there was very little moisture getting to the grass, it was just all nothing happened. But outside that perimeter, outside that drip line of the trees, the grass came up in the spring like it was. And I always figured, Ken, it was like we always talk about working with nature. I mean, that's what happens. Grass drops their seed in the fall, and you know. So I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't do it. And for the amount of grass seed you're going to be using, if you have to, as Ken said, redo it a little bit in the spring, I think you're in good shape.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And for peat moss, does it matter if it's on the top or the bottom?
Peat moss in the...
Well, when you seed the grass, aren't you supposed to use some peat moss?
Well, you can. Sand is really one of the key things. So if you had a choice, you would probably choose sand rather than peat moss.
Okay.
And that would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the call.
And mix the seed with the sand. That makes it real easy to apply.
That's right. That's what they do on the golf course.
You bet.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
All right.
You're welcome, Sharon. Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
And we welcome Maureen. Have we got time for Maureen here?
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break. And we got Maureen and Vicky on hold here. And we welcome them to the show when we come back with the Garden Show after this short break. Okay, and for the caller, the gentleman or lady, I'm not sure which one it is, that just texted me regarding their elephant ears, their calicasia. We're going to talk about that, but we want to go to our phone lines first. And first up is Maureen. Good morning, Maureen.
Oh, hi, guys. I had just, when you were talking about the trimming of plants, I suddenly had a whole bunch of questions. But the thing that I wondered about is, first of all, like I was trimming the barberry the other day because it's finally not too hot, and I haven't trimmed it at all summer. Is that a good or a bad thing to do right now?
It's not really necessary. You know, that's a question. Whenever you're going to prune or trim something, the first thing is it necessary? Why does it need pruning? Is it getting too big, or what's the issue?
So kind of looking really messy, and
it needs to be cleaned up a bit. So light trimming now is fine. Usually with the barberry families, they need light trimmings with like a hedge trimmer or something like that. And if you want to do a full rejuvenation, which would shrink the thing down quite a bit smaller, you would always keep that to the springtime. And that's where you remove 3/4 of it.
Right. Yeah. Okay, what about the eiderberry? I think that's what it's called. That's that big black kind of
elderberry
foliage.
Yep.
Yeah, elderberry, yeah. Would you just leave that for the winter and let it spring?
What I do, like mine, sometimes it gets a branch that flops over where I don't like it, and I'm sure it's going to get covered with snow and flop a bit. But they are a huge shrub, so they do get really big. So then I can just go and cut a branch off here or there as needed just to kind of keep it where it's at. But again, with those plants, what I do with elderberries, I grow them for about 5 years, and then after 5 years, I cut the whole thing down to about 3 feet high, removing everything in the springtime and total rejuvenation. Let them come back. But they are big. Mine are 22 feet high by 22 feet wide.
It was a little tiny plant when I bought it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good for some. I like the birds and the privacy and stuff.
Oh, they're really good wildlife tree for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I like to leave stuff for the wildlife in the winter here. And my husband wants to trim all the Carl Forester grasses right down, and they look so pretty. Is it bad to leave those up for the winter, or should you trim them down?
Not. It's just a choice. Like we do maintenance on properties in our company,
right?
KHS Landscape. So what we do is we will go out and we assess it based on the client, and most people want their yards to be tidy in the wintertime. So that just means cutting them off as soon. You can leave them right into November usually, and they're still standing upright. As long as they're standing upright, they're easy to trim off with a hedge trimmer. But once they flop, like from snow or whatever, then they're kind of difficult, and you got to get in and snip them with pruners. It's a bigger job. So it's up to the individual. I think the birds and the wildlife would rather you just leave them right through the winter and clean them up around the end of February.
Yeah, okay. And maybe tidy anything that's completely flopping over. Just maybe trim it just a little bit.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay. And then my last question, should I be bringing in my tomatoes now? Like there's not many that are turning red now. Like I have lots of aromas.
Yeah, it's
and
probably not.
Should I bring them in now, or is it too soon?
It's not really warm enough to get them to ripen outside, and they will just ripen in a box. One of my tips was here last week or the week before was just when you're harvesting things like that, whether they're green or somewhere in between or red, is just to give them a wash when you bring them in, and that'll help to kill fungus that's living on the outer part.
Idea.
And then you lay them out on the table to dry. Make sure they're thoroughly dried after washing, and then they'll store them. We just put them in cardboard trays, like a cardboard tray like you'd get for plants. And you just lay them in there and just keep an eye on them. And if you look at them, you'll see them just start to go red, and you pull out all the red ones as they come on.
Do you put newspaper, or you just kind of let them just lay there in their own box, and you don't need to necessarily cover them?
Up to the individual. Newspaper is a nice touch sometimes, too.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for your help.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate the call.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
bye-bye now. And we have Vicky. Good morning, Vicky.
Good morning. I love your show.
Thank you, dear.
I have two questions. One of them is I talked to you about my honeysuckle, and you said that it grows flowers on the new growth. And so mine is about 6 or 7 feet tall. It's a bush. It's hanging over a retaining wall. If I cut it back to maybe 3 feet high, is that going to be too much?
Well, not for next year. Like should shoot up again next year. It's a little hard. That would be called a complete rejuvenation on a plant like that. So that means it's all going to come back new next year.
Okay, so do I do it now or do I do it in the spring?
Better to do it in the spring, but you can do some light trimmings now just to keep it in check and make sure that it looks decent for the winter.
Okay. And the other thing is I'd like to try starting from seed pansies and I can't think of the name of the other one. But anyway, they both be from seed, and petunias.
Okay.
I'd like to try them from seed. So when is the best month to start?
Well, I know pansies are definitely early, so that's like beginning of February to get them going. They're very slow, and you do those separately. But petunias are pretty fast, eh?
Yeah, petunias, well, planting from seed, I would suggest you want to start mid-April.
Oh, okay.
Maybe even early April indoors. Are you located in the Okanagan or down at the coast?
Oh, I'm in Glen Rosa, and I have a plant table with plant lights.
Yeah,
good. I don't have any underneath heating, though.
Yeah.
That's always nice to buy one of those little heat pads. Boy, that sure helps with the germination. There's no question about that.
Okay.
The pansies, as Ken said, very early. And they're amazing. You can plant pansy seed right in the ground outside early in late February, early March.
They like to be cool.
Yeah, and they come up and they'll grow in the garden.
Okay. I kind of thought I'd like to have them. You go to the nursery and they've got nice plants, and
you go to the nursery in February and March, and they've got nice plants, but they started them under lights in a growing condition, in a professional growing condition, probably in
January,
or even December. They started them. Yeah. I know that out at the greenery, they're busy in December getting ready for spring.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I should plant those end of December, beginning of January in the house.
As long as you can grow them cool, but you really want to have lots of light so they don't stretch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've got plant lights, and I can raise them up so they're right up against, almost touching the lights. Actually.
Well, this is the thing you want to do. Yep.
Yeah, you would be fine with the pansies anywhere from December 1st through to February 29th, literally. So it's just remembering that the garden centers are doing it because they're trying to get a flower on it, so that when people walk in the door, they buy it because it's got a bloom on it. Mm-hmm. But for us, it doesn't have to be blooming when we plant them out, as long as you get a nice little plant, and they'll bloom when they're ready. When they go out in the spring.
Good point.
Okay, so end of January, beginning of February is a good time to put those seeds in.
Yep,
I'm just kind of trying it to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yep, do them. That's what we call early planting. Anytime in February would be fine.
Okay.
And make notes of the dates you do things, because if it's successful, you want to repeat that again next year.
Right.
And if you're not successful, you want to adjust.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Thanks
dear.
so much.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for calling.
Okay, bye.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's always exciting to get your own stuff growing, isn't it?
Oh, it's so much fun.
Now,
And I find pansies is really cool one to grow. It's a little tougher, I think. It's slower to germinate and grow than other plants.
Yeah.
Like
Ken, on the I guess it was a gentleman that is having trouble with or wanting to know how to bring his alocasia or calicasia through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It doesn't say whether he's a gentleman or a lady. But anyway, wondering how to bring it through the winter. Now, you were saying that these things are very tropical.
Yeah, they'll go quite dormant. Like even in your house, like if your house is between 10 and 20 degrees Celsius, those are fine temperatures for them. You can keep them growing as long as you can, as long as they want to have a leaf on them. So if they're in a pot, you just bring the whole pot in and just bring it in and let them kind of go. If they start to go downhill, then you just chop the whole thing off. They still need some moisture through the winter because they are a rainforest type plant, so they don't like to be too dry. But slightly dry is okay because you want them to slow right down through the winter. And keeping them. The key is not getting them too cold, but not too warm either. It's just that like I say, between sort of 10 and 20 degrees Celsius.
I know in the spring when you buy these things, they're dry. They're in a bin and they're in.
Yeah, they can be dried out completely. They survive that for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe the person who's asking this, if they have a few different plants, a few elephant ears, they may want to try some staying in the pot. Yep. They might want to try some lifting them out, dry them out, bring them through that way.
Yeah, the key is knowing what species it is. So, as always, and I always come right down to that almost in every conversation is, what kind of rose is it? What kind of alocasia is it?
Yeah.
What kind of calicacia? Yeah. Whatever the family is, colocacia. If you have those plants, and you find out the actual botanical name and look it up, it will tell you specifics. Because it makes a difference if that particular one lives in the river, like literally underwater most of the time, or if it's one that lives up on the embankments. It would make a total difference in how you deal with that.
I just noticed here the person lives in Langford, BC, and also they have 3 bulbs in the ground and 3 in pots. So the ones in pots, maybe bring them in.
Keep them in the pots, start drying them out. Yeah. Yep. Get them a little bit on the drier side, always slightly moist. And then the ones that are in the ground, I'd take them out and wash them, clean them all off.
Maybe a little bit of bleach, a tiny bit of bleach solution.
Maybe, yeah. It's really ultimately just getting them nice and clean and then drying them off so they don't go rotten. And then at that point, you might want to try storing them. Like a lot of these wholesalers will sometimes store them in something like a slightly dampened sort of peat moss. And it just creates this environment that's kind of doesn't.
They don't dehydrate.
They don't desiccate, and yet the peat moss is acidic enough to help to combat some types of diseases that might want to attack them. So that can be good. Just not wet peat moss. That's all. Yeah.
Well, hopefully that's been of some help to this person. We are now ready for another break. We're at the bottom of the hour. We've got another half-hour show left. We're going to take this break. We'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break. Well, Ken's got me worried. I'm starting to look up weather forecasting in Kelowna. There's all sorts of sources, and the one that I'm at is definitely not giving any kind of a frost warning. The one that Ken has is giving a frost warning. Now, did you say Kelowna or actually Lake Country?
It's Kelowna, but because most of that happens at the airport, it's close. It's North Kelowna, close to Lake Country, to Winfield area.
So a little more accurate for your area than it is for
yeah. And you got to figure they're just saying, they're saying a low of 4 degrees tonight.
Chance of frost.
But as soon as they say chance of frost, that means like if you're up on the hill, like if you're up in Joe Ridge, or if you're up in any of these areas where you're up a little higher, then you could get a little snip. Hey, but a little bit of frost is often fine.
19,
not the end of anything.
Except if you've got tropical plants.
Unless you have tropicals, yeah. Then they're just mush.
Yeah. Well, last year I had this fabulous ricinus castor bean plant.
Yeah,
I mean, it had huge leaves, and it was all into seed and everything, and I thought, well, I'm going to harvest these seeds. 1 degree of frost, and they were mush.
Everything.
1 degree of frost, seeds, everything were just mush, right?
Yep.
So
anyway,
so I'm going to address things today. Listening to you, Ken. I always listen to you, of course, but I today for sure. But I've got most of my stuff inside, but I got a few things out. I've got a really nice succulent display bowl that I actually won a prize with at the flower show this year.
There you go.
And so it's
still outside.
It's still outside. I'm going to put it in the greenhouse tonight. And yeah, I have a few things out there that might be vulnerable. So anyway,
last night I brought in my dragon fruit. I have a huge dragon fruit plant. It's a little bit out of control. They get big.
Yeah. Well, what I've been doing, seriously, with some of my plants, some of my collection of succulents and truffles, I've literally, I'm taking babies and actually cut the big ones right back so they'll fit in the greenhouse, and then making babies, and I'm just doing the best I can. We've got, calling from Victoria, Olivia. And Olivia, thank you for calling in.
Well, thank you for your good work. I live in a strata complex, and my lawn is invaded with wood sorrel. And I'm trying to do some research to find out how I can eradicate it and get a lawn back.
That's something I think that is more of a coastal concern. It's not something that we, I think, have.
Well, it's oxalis type.
It's an oxalis type of thing, almost like a clover, but it's a Well,
a real hard, woody thing, and it's spreading, and
you might have to take a picture of that, and maybe do you think you could send us a picture of it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just to make sure we're identifying it. And then what we can do is maybe give you some sort of a recipe, or I don't know, maybe some ideas.
Yeah, I've got a feeling you probably, with that particular issue, you may have to have professional control people in and see if you can't talk to them. Some lawn people that deal with that.
They have a weed guy every couple of weeks, but it doesn't do anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why we need to identify it to find out what it is for sure, because the wood sorrel is usually like a little, it's like a little clover that grows along the ground and spreads like crazy, and the seeds are explosive. So so when the little seed pod comes up, it's like, oh, look at what's that? It looks like a little, I don't know, like a little. I can't lost the name of it, but they pop and they'll throw their seeds for about 5 feet in all directions.
Yeah, and it faces the west as well, and with the scorching sun, it's just
they love that.
It's a mess.
How big is your area, your lawn?
Oh, it's just a little patch.
It's a little patch.
Yeah. But it's sloping as well. It slopes.
One of the ways that I've seen weeds eradicated. You have to wait till midsummer when it's really hot, okay? Lots of sunshine. Literally put clear plastic over top of that area and bake it. It's like a greenhouse effect, and the sun goes in and really just bakes it. And I've seen some pretty good success getting rid of some bad weeds that way.
Okay.
And that, of course, then you have to reseed your lawn.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that.
It's like pressing the restart button, you know?
I was suggesting a rototiller, but that isn't going over.
Well, that's just going to chop the roots up and spread it, you know.
Right.
No.
Yeah. What is your email address? I'll take a picture, and if you can help me, that'd be great.
Yeah, you can send that to ken@growercoach.com.
Okay, I will do that.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. You have a great long weekend.
You too.
We appreciate your call.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's these lawn issues nowadays. It's a little different story than it was 25 years ago when
Yeah, it should still be manageable with the with the products that are available through the professional applicators, just probably not available. Maybe nothing available, depending where you live. But I know it's easily managed with certain products. But I would say you're best to contact a professional.
Right, but she was saying somebody's been in there doing some spraying. But well, you gotta find the right people.
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, it seems like the older guys who used to do all the spraying that I recall, they were super knowledgeable and it was really great. But a lot of those guys have retired now, and hopefully there's some new people who are, studying the plant pathology and studying the weeds and the insects and all that stuff, so they know what they're up against. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
We have Roy joining us. Good morning, Roy.
Yes, how you guys doing?
We're well, thanks.
Good, thanks.
Well, that's good. I just wonder, is this a good time to be pruning my apple tree?
Spring is a better time, Roy.
Spring is better.
Spring is better. Well, like early spring, the orchardists here certainly do some summer pruning on a lot of the trees, and especially peaches and things that grow like crazy. But the first initial pruning is generally done as soon as it's... Are you in the Okanagan or are you down at the coast?
Yes, I'm in the
Okanagan. Well, yeah, it's usually like that early March to mid-March that people are out, the growers are out pruning.
Yeah, I notice they don't let anything grow on those trees. I drive by some of the ones on Burn Road there, and, it doesn't look like any growth on them at all. They just keep them all kind of...
Well, yeah, you prune a fruit tree in a way different way than you prune an ornamental tree. You're not looking for form and shape and habit with a fruit tree. You're looking for ease of getting at the fruit, making the light get into the fruit. Those are the criteria when you're pruning fruit trees. I know our favorite guy that was our father of modern arboriculture cringed when he drove by an orchard. He's a sort of an arborist and taught pruning for years, and he would cringe when he'd see what they do to trees in orchards. But on the other hand, it's a necessary thing to do. And summer pruning, really, once you've done your initial spring pruning and your fruit is growing and whatnot, doing a summer pruning has a controlling effect on the tree. Winter pruning, spring pruning promotes new growth. Summer pruning has the ability to curtail growth and keep the tree under control. And it does promote the following year's fruit if you do a little bit of summer pruning. But pruning in the fall may not be, prior to the winter, especially in the Okanagan, you got winter ahead of you. Pruning in the fall, just like we were talking about in the last segment, we were talking about how leaving some of the wood there will help the tree get through the winter and not desiccate and that's probably a good practice. So wait until spring before you do your pruning.
I see. Okay. Well, that's good. Good to know. Yeah. Thanks very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for the call.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
And we have Jan joining us. Good morning, Jan.
Good morning. I have one question here. I have a permanent hydrangea that I planted, I think, in the wrong place into the sunshine, and it didn't do well there. Can I move it now, or should I wait till spring?
By permanent, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's not one that you buy at the store and it's just good for the year. And
okay. It's the garden hydrangea. And are you in the Okanagan or are you down at the coast?
Oh, yeah, I'm in Winfield.
In Winfield.
Lake Country, Winfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And is this type of hydrangea, does it have sort of fuzzy leaves or does it have smooth, waxy leaves?
Oh, I never noticed.
Mm.
Is it white?
The flower is sort of a pinky flower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And cone-shaped, do you think? Is the top sort of pointed? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the leaves are sort of pointed, and they have now because it's getting close to winter.
And the flower, is the flower pointed on the top? Is it sort of a cone-shaped flower?
No, it's a round.
It's a round ball? Okay.
Yeah, my daughter planted hers in the shady side of her house.
Mm-hmm.
And I planted mine in the garden flower bed, and it's right in the direct sunshine, except it has shade a little bit, but not enough. Okay. And the flowers didn't do anything because it was really open to the heat.
Yeah, and it was a tough year this year for sure. So it is helpful sometimes to move them to a little bit cooler location for the Okanagan here, because we did get those, I'm not sure how many days, but about 60 days above 100 degrees. Somewhere in that range, it was a lot of heat. And so those plants will do better in shade, and having some decent soil. So like you dig it like you would prepare a garden soil with some compost and maybe some peat moss or coconut fiber or something, digging into that area, create the bed, and then plant it partial shade. They still like a little bit of sunlight. But, I'd be inclined to leave it for now where it is and then move it in the springtime. Okay. And the reason is that if you move it now, they're kind of a bit slow to get rooted at this time of year. I'm not sure it would really root in fully.
Right. I moved a honeysuckle vine because it was in the shade and wasn't doing very well.
Oh, yeah.
My neighbor had a bunch of morning glories, and they just made a wall.
Oh, yeah, and honeysuckles should be fine moving. They're much tougher.
I moved it already.
Yeah, and it's fine.
I dug it up and took the ball of roots and planted in the sun. My neighbor has one right in a direct sun, and it just grew like crazy.
They love the sun, you bet.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I think you're fine. The only thing I would say, remember with these, if it might be a macrophylla variety, so if it's got a round bloom and the leaves are smooth and sort of waxy, then that one would, in the Okanagan here anyway, we need a little bit of winter protection. So what we're recommending now with all of those types is that if you had a little bit of straw around, you'd kind of bury part of the plant or all the plant in straw if it's at all possible. So, and what that does is protects those upper branches to make sure they come through the winter, and that's what gives you the flowers for next year.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I planted one several years ago, one that you sort of have annually kind of thing. It doesn't last through the winter, but this one did about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it doesn't bloom, but it just grows like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they're not blooming because they're freezing off over the winter. Last year, the winter was so cold last winter that almost all those types of hydrangeas didn't bloom. Only got a few blooms this year. So that's why we're recommending the straw treatment. So you could try that and see how she comes through. And then, if you still feel like moving it in the spring, you could do that.
Well, because I have a space that's right by a fence that has a lot of shade. I know that they like shade.
Yeah, in the Okanagan, in the heat of the summer, they prefer to be a bit in the shade.
Yeah, I could wrap these in growers cloth or even burlap.
Yeah.
I don't have any straw.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay.
You could do that around the end of October would be good timing to do that.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great day.
You too. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the call. Bye-bye. And we're going to take a short break here, last break of the day. We've got a little bit of time left for some calls after the break. We'll be back with The Garden Show after this short break. Well, here we are, back with you for the final few moments of The Garden Show. We do have time for a call, 250-862-2525, locally here in the Okanagan. 1-888-780-4273 if you're calling from Victoria or anywhere online. I am starting to worry, Ken. I mean, you started talking frost now. And I'm wearing my shorts today, and now I got goosebumps on my legs for crying out loud.
It's all this talk about winter coming.
I know. I got to think, okay, what have I got out there? Now, a little bit of frost is not going to hurt the dahlias. They just die down. And
if they do, that's often how you tell when it's time to bring them in, right?
That's right. They
time
die.
to dig them out.
Get a little touch of frost, they turn black, and you bring them in. It's certainly, though, when I'm trying to think of what kind of tropicals I still have outside. I do have that pencil euphorbia outside. I got to get that.
Yeah.
Got to get that baby in. So a few things. So you kind of got me thinking here, and but that's what we do at this time of year, unless you're in Brisbane. If you're in Brisbane, no problem. Although the interesting thing when we were in Australia a couple of years ago, talking to Joe Wilkinson, who used to work with us, and he lives in Australia, a little bit further south than the Queensland area. He does get a touch of frost here and there in his neck of the woods, and so he's talking to me all about we talk about tropicals that'll make it through a little bit of frost and whatnot, And one of the things that he has that grows very well, and it gets a touch of frost every year, and I mean just a touch of frost, and that is your cycads. He said the cardboard palms and the sago palms, the two common cycads.
I could see them surviving a little bit of a frost.
Just a touch.
Yeah, they might get a little brown on them, but that's what happens in nature, right? Is plants get brown on them, so that's not. We tend to keep them pretty pristine, and those particular plants living in our homes or houses are very well protected. So I would not risk it though.
The other thing, of course, is the amaryllis. A lot of people have the hipistrum is the proper name for them. They have them, and they're wondering what to do with them at this time of year. Well, definitely, if you've got them still growing in a pot or outside, time to lift them, time to cut them back, time to let them dry out, and then keep them cool for 2 or 3 weeks, and then put them in a pot and
mine right now, I think mine are still sitting outside, so they're already cool.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But drying them out will be the key, right? And then cutting them off, and I'm gonna do that with those ones. Like I said, some of mine just randomly bloomed through the summertime, so I was pretty lucky to have gorgeous bloom. It's a double white one. Oh my God, it's the most incredible flower.
I've seen it. I saw a picture. Yeah,
it is amazing. So I highly recommend if you ever see the double white amaryllis or hipistrum in a garden center and you want to give one a try, that's a good one to give it a try. It's gorgeous. Yeah,
and and it's always fun to play with these things and learn as we do and sift out some of the things. I'm getting quite vicious with some of my plants. I'm going, oh well, I'm tired of that one. See you later. Give it away. Bringing on the stuff that there's certain plants that I will not give away or compromise their health. Period. Like my Bocarnia and my Pachypodiums and my various ones.
Oh,
like that. I won't let them go. We've got one more caller, and we're going to have to hurry here, Beth, because we've only got about 3 minutes. Good morning, Beth. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. So I purchased asparagus roots late summer, and I haven't planted them yet. Is it too late to plant them?
Well, better late than never, but no, I would say you could go ahead and plant those. Follow the label directions, and they should be fine. They should shoot up next year. Ideally, hopefully I think with the cool temperature right now, it should keep them dormant until spring.
But it's an odd time of the year to be buying asparagus roots.
Well, I actually bought them maybe mid to late summer.
Okay, interesting. Normally, you buy those in the spring. I'd be interesting to see. Are you in the Okanagan or are you down the coast?
Okanagan. You never know. They might be better because because they are a perennial plant, and a lot of perennials do better planted in the fall. So, that's you might be onto something because a lot of people do struggle with asparagus.
I can't grow it.
Yeah. So maybe fall planting might be the secret. So, but I would just go ahead and plant it. I mean, you can't not plant it because it's the more dehydrated and desiccated it becomes, the less viable it is.
Make sure the crown is about 4 or 5 inches deep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Beth. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
You're ending the show for us. Thank you very much.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
And we're getting very close to the end here, Ken. We do want to recognize the fact that we are on First Nations land, unceded, Silex territory here in the Okanagan, and it's very, very important to recognize the fact that the Truth and Reconciliation weekend here, today it is the day that we recognize that. And, we appreciate the fact that we live together in a country that's probably the best country in the damn world.
Yep. I would say it is for sure.
Yeah.
And but it's a very important day today. So we all should take some time to think about it.
You bet. And we're just about ready to do the tips and plants of the week, but obviously when that music comes on, you've got to do the tips and the plants. Gurinder, he's pushing the button here. That's good. Okay, my tip, and I got to find it here. I will find it right now. My tip was a good one. Especially important when bringing in sensitive plants like your tropicals and things for the winter. You want to make sure there's no hitchhikers. And to do that, the best thing is to buy a little hand lens and learn how to use it, because there's a way to use it that's the proper way. basically putting it close to your eye and moving the plant towards you, but keep the lens close to your eye. Anyway, it's a whole, you could talk for an hour about how to use a hand lens. But anyway, my plant of the week is coleus. Of all kinds. All coleus are good coleus. I don't think there's a bad one out there.
No, they're all good. They all have their spot.
Yeah.
All right, I also have a tip and a plant this week, and my tip of the week is that it's time to think about spraying copper on your soft fruit trees. So copper can be applied anytime once the fruit is off, sometime around the end of September, early October. And you do one application before the leaves drop, and then you let the leaves drop, and you do a second application after the leaves drop. And it kind of coats the branches and everything and prevents diseases from spreading throughout the winter months. And then in spring, you're off to a good start on those soft fruits. All right, my plant of the week this week is the Epiphyllum Pink Empress, which is just a beautiful orchid cactus, and it's one that I have. I've brought mine in from outside and got it inside. I've been doing inspections, and sure enough, there are little buds starting to form, so keep posted. As we go through, we'll be putting up some of those posts onto Facebook and Instagram and also on YouTube. So check it out and enjoy that bloom. That's a beauty. All right, that's my tips and plans for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com and Grower Coach on YouTube.
You bet you can. And just want to mention that you're coming by today, and we're going to do a little bit of a video in the greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we show people how to use a hand lens?
A hand lens.
Proper way to use it, because you often see people trying to focus it at a distance.
And this is an excellent tip, to be inspecting these plants, and especially the first probably 3 weeks after you bring them in.
Yeah, and you certainly wouldn't use your eyeglasses at a distance. You put them right close to your face.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do the Shigo quote of the week, and we're out of here. Real power is having but not using the power to kill.